friends. I just want to start off by letting everyone know that I'm going to be talking about anxiety in this video, as well as some triggers and treatments. I know a few of these things might actually be triggers for people with anxiety like myself, so if that's you, I absolutely welcome you to just turn this one video off and go back and check our channel and check out some of the other great work that we've been doing. I also wanted to make mention that this video has been really difficult for me to actually script and film and edit. I've been suffering a lot this past couple of weeks. You might have picked it up on the Facebook page. I've been going through some really bad pain and my anxiety has been really terrible, so I might tear up a few times or look a bit unprofessional, but you just bear with me on that one. I've had a lot of issues with my camera setup and lighting as well, so if this isn't high def, I am so sorry. I need to talk to you. So you know the really nervous feeling that kind of snakes up into your belly and it feels cold and just damn scary when somebody says this to you? That's anxiety. Actually, I like to think of my anxiety as a cat that fell in the bath and can't get out. Cat people be with me on that one. It's designed to help us motor out of dangerous situations pretty quickly. So for example, if you're walking down the street in town by yourself at 2 o'clock in the morning, that's anxiety that has you ready to run at literally any sound of footsteps or a door slamming or somebody coming up behind you. If you're on a safari and a lion starts licking his lips at you, time to feel a little anxiety. It's also pretty typical to feel anxious about things like job interviews or meetings or exams or giving presentations. That doesn't mean you have an anxiety disorder. But I think it's time we had a chat about what happens when anxiety turns from something natural to something that is an all-consuming force in your life. I'm reading my script. Don't tell anyone. I want to take you away for a minute. I want to take you to a place where you've just got off a bus. It's been a really long day and your boss is angry at you and you just want to get home. As the bus pulls away from the bus stop that you've just got out of at, you realise that you left your $1,200 smartphone on the seat. And the bus is heading to the bad part of town and it's 5:30 PM, so the bus depot isn't open to call the lost and found service to let them know where your phone is. Oh, and the phone contains all of your photos of your recently newborn child. The only ones you have, and they're not backed up. Also, your ATM card was in your phone case. And your really expensive headphones were attached. You're probably feeling pretty anxious about this. If you're not, let me know where you get your superpowers from. Now, I'll take a step back from that situation and imagine feeling that level of anxiety for everyday things. Imagine feeling that anxious about going to your post office. Imagine that feeling happening when you're brushing your teeth. Imagine that feeling happening when you're otherwise safe and shopping at your local supermarket, only what if someone talks to you? What if your credit card doesn't work? What if? Also imagine feeling it for extended periods of time, say not 5 minutes before your presentation or 3 days or a week before your exams while you're studying, but literally every day for months. Imagine that it's your baseline feeling, and when stressful things do happen, you feel even more anxious. Now, a lot of people say that in scary situations, for example a bushfire, I'm from Australia, they freeze in fear, and that can happen on a pretty regular basis with an anxiety disorder. Sometimes you just think of the scariest possible thing that could happen when you're leaving the house and suddenly you're stuck on the couch and you can't move. I guess I like to think of my anxiety disorder as a totally typical physiological function that's kind of misfiring a little bit. To me, it's like my conscious observes something that I'm doing, for example walking into a store, and it texts my brain and says we're walking into a store, but my consciousness isn't very good at spelling and there's a typo, and my brain receives a text that says we're about to die in a store. Suddenly I find myself rooted to the spot and my brain's going, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, we're going to die in a store? Is this real, subconscious? Is this real? I mean, this must mean someone has a gun. I mean, what's going to happen to my dog if I get shot? Who's going to feed my dog? My dog's going to chase my cats if I'm not there tonight. And then my cats are going to get injured, and who's going to be there to help my cats because they don't even know that I've been shot because all I did was walk into a store. Suddenly I'm running away from the store in panic and back home to make sure my cat's okay. Fun fact, gave myself a panic attack. Another form of anxiety that I'm really familiar with is called social anxiety. So basically that happens whenever I have to talk to someone. I don't feel it so much with family or trusted friends. But for example, I get pretty nervous sending my boss a text to say that we've swapped shifts at work, or when I have to ring up to make a doctor's appointment and I literally can't answer my phone unless I know the person on the other end. Basically, with social anxiety, it's just replacing the physical danger that I would feel anxiety from with like a psychological or emotional danger, such as embarrassment or feeling like I don't have friends or people laughing at. Of course, anxiety affects a lot of different people in a lot of ways. I for one know that when I'm having an anxious period in my life, I'm pretty hard to talk to. Everything I take in the worst possible way. I take everything in the worst possible way to the point where some people just don't know what to say. And I'm not really capable of identifying the fact that they're trying to help. I just think that they're saying this because they think I can't cope as a human. I'm taking the words out of their mouth, my brain is translating them to say in my own version of English, you are horrible at coping with life and you are failing at everything. This is the same when people ask me to do things and maybe I don't do them the first time, so they just ask if I've done them again. Like, hey, did you remember to fill out that form? And in English that's, hey, did you remember to fill out that form? In Kate anxiety language that's, you're useless, you can't fill out a form, what are you doing trying to be an adult? I'm also really sensitive, I guess, about what I say to people. So say if I say something that I think sounds a little bit off or a little bit unfriendly, even though it probably sounded perfectly friendly, I'm going to have a panic attack about that for the next 6 to 12 years. Even if I say sorry and the person says, hey, I didn't notice, or hey, no, that's fine, I didn't take it away, I'm going to think that's code for, we hate you, don't talk to us again. Basically, all anxiety for me revolves around something that I identify as a danger. So while I'm not horribly scared of getting bitten by a snake, I am terrified of people making a joke at my expense or not liking me anymore. That's gonna make me anxious. Anxiety has no prejudice. It doesn't mean that somebody is weak, it doesn't mean they're needy, it doesn't mean they've had a bad childhood or even any kind of scarring experience. A lot of my anxiety comes from an incident that happened to me a couple of years ago where a group of friends and I were mugged and one of my friends got pretty badly beaten up, and later on we found out that there was actually quite a big threat to his life. But now things like somebody walking too close behind me while I'm shopping, going outside to put my bins out at night. The other day the electricity went off and I thought that when I went outside I was going to get ambushed by somebody, all because of one event that happened a couple of years ago. Anxiety is also not really something that you can snap out of. There are a ton of great resources online that explain anxiety and explain panic attacks and the chemical reactions that are happening in your body and your brain when these happen, which I will put a link to in the doobly-doo. I mean, trust me, we're not going to make a conscious effort to worry about things the way that we do. It's not really something we can control. We can control it with medication, although that's a long journey in itself, and some medication is going to work for some people, it's not going to work for others, it might make it worse, it might make it better, it might make no difference at all. And that's really a discussion that people need to have with their doctors or psychologists or psychiatrists rather than just getting the information off the internet, because our brains all have a different chemistry, we all work in different ways, we all take medicine in different ways, and what works for you is not necessarily going to work for me, what works for me isn't going to necessarily work for you. And it's a long, tough journey to find something that does work, so if you are an accompaniment on the journey of anxiety, it's really important to remember that we are trying to make that step to remove anxiety at the level that it's at from our lives, or there are some people who don't want to do that, and that's fine too. It's really important not to tell people to just get over it or snap out of it. I mean, to me that's like telling a diabetic person to just not be diabetic anymore. And to be honest, to be a good ally to people who do have anxiety, it's important to understand that they're going through something that on the surface is maybe a 6 or a 7, but in their minds could be a 15 or 20. I think the most important advice that I could give to people who don't have anxiety, who might have a friend or a family member with anxiety, is that it's really important to let the person who has anxiety know that you believe them wholeheartedly. Don't tell them that they're just talking themselves into it, or if they keep thinking about it, they're going to talk themselves into it. You can't talk yourself into a chemical reaction in your brain, you can't. There are very few things that are more disabling during a time of panic or anxiety than having someone you care about invalidate your feelings by saying you've just talked yourself into this, or it isn't as bad as you think it is. I know that to some that's going to sound like really supportive and almost comforting words, So my camera turned itself off halfway through filming and then the tripod fell over. Technology doesn't want me to make this video. But anyway, just wanted to say thanks for watching. Thanks for all your support. I'm really loving the conversation that's going on Facebook and Twitter and the YouTube comments. It's really awesome. I'd love to see what responses you guys come up with for this video. If you have any suggestions on videos you'd like to see us make in the future, or just any comments you want to make, basically, good, bad, or in between. We really appreciate the constructive criticism you've been giving us. It's been helping us make our videos better. And also, don't forget to subscribe. Have a good week. See you next time. There's a cat on the other side of this door, actually. You might hear some meowing. I haven't got any hostages, they just want to join in the video.